Well, welcome everybody. I am very excited to have James Jenkins with me today. You
Who
might know him currently on the internet as Janks_gaming on YouTube and on Twitch. That's
literally dozens of followers, I think.
Oh yeah, dozens. Yeah, it's JENX_gaming. Just so you know how to spell it.
As you, yes.
Formerly of Team Triple Jump, the YouTube channel, which we'll get into a little bit. But yeah, James, welcome. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I'm very excited. Get to talk about myself rather awkwardly, as I was just saying.
Right.
Yeah, it could be fun.
Well, lovely. Well, to hop into this, we're gonna go far back, and we'll kind of get up to where you are now.
The Wayback Machine,
The
as
way
they say.
back machines. So I'm curious about sort of how you ended up working in this specific space, because
Mm.
it's a bit of a unique space to be working in. Is this something that you've wanted to do for quite a while? Or, I mean, obviously, like growing up, like this type of job didn't necessarily exist.
No,
Um,
no. I am
right.
quite
But
old.
yeah,
These
sure. But
made
I mean,
more sense
even
when I was born.
I mean, yeah, even like when I up until a certain point in my life, like it
Yeah.
wasn't really a job people had. But
Yeah. Yeah.
how does this something that you sort of decided you wanted to do, or did it happen sort of?
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of a weird one in that like yeah, when YouTube was first sort of blowing up, I was like in at uni really, and that's when I
Okay,
first started paying attention to stuff, and the idea of people doing silly videos and putting them on the internet, aside from like it being pranks videos and whatnot.
sure.
um yeah, like I first sort of saw gaming stuff when it was like machinima, if you remember or have seen the old machinima
Yep,
stuff.
I do. Yeah, I
My
remember.
god, it was a long time ago and definitely of an era, but yeah, like, yeah, 90% bloody Call of Duty videos, but there we go. But yeah, stuff like that and like classic Rooster Teeth I remember being into at the time. And then a big channel I've watched for years and years, British channel, is Hat Films. I've mentioned them on stream, I think.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah,
so so yeah, so by extension, like they got like they got taken up by the Yogscast network. So seeing that and being like, oh shit, sorry, I might swear.
no, it's fine.
Apologies.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfectly,
okay.
perfectly okay. Yeah, go
I
for
was
it.
like, oh damn. The these guys not only have like can just put videos up because anyone was able to do that. It was the whole point of YouTube, but they also are part of like a network. They can get paid. It can be like a kind of real job. So that was weird to see. So, and obviously, people watching out probably thought like, "Oh yeah, that'd be nice," but not likely. So,
Sure. Yeah.
for years, yeah, I didn't really know how to get into it at that point, and never really thought it was realistic. If I'd known it was just a case of like, "Hey, record Minecraft and do silly voices and stuff," then yeah, sure, I would have been a millionaire by now. But hey, same for all of us, I guess. But like, yeah, because I did journalism at uni. I've
Oh,
always
okay.
been good at like, I assume quite competent at writing things, writing the words and stuff. Um, Not so good at speaking them out loud, obviously, but yeah, and then I I went to like an ad agency, a small town ad agency that yeah, we got a couple of decent big clients, and that's where I learned like editing and doing other stuff like that, and just how to sort of apply it in the real world, basically. And that's what really allowed me, I think, to just say, because I was getting quite fed up with the previous job at that point. 2019, early 2019, took a punt on this brand new channel because I'd already been watching Vidiots.
Oh, right, right. Okay.
Rip.
Yeah.
Rip
Rest in peace.
Vidiots. Yeah. Rip in peace and all that. But yeah, I saw this brand new up and coming channel called Triple Jump, and applied for that and just got like pretty lucky, I guess. I still think there's a lot of luck involved, but it was, I think what helped was the fact that I could write and edit and put out that dangerous combo. Probably helped. So it was, yeah, it was kind of a thing where like I fell into the skill set of it, I guess. but then also a bit of a lucky break and just right time, right place, right time. Happened to see that and applied for it, and yeah, it's so weird. Like it is such a weird thing in that there's often not any set way of getting into that line of work, but then I feel like I went for it in the most traditional way in that I saw a job advert, I applied for it, I got it. Quite lucky in that respect. So yeah,
Yeah, and
uh,
now here you are. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah.
Well, and part of that, so obviously, like you said, you watched like Vidiots, which was a channel that Peter Austin and Ben Potter have been doing,
Hmm. Hmm.
with actually with the Yogscast, who
Again,
bought
yeah,
Hat Films and that kind of thing, and they were
yeah,
starting.
yeah, all sort of connected.
Yeah, they were kicking off and doing their own thing, and
Yeah.
you obviously just they were looking for an editor, right? I think at that time
Mhm.
was mostly what they were looking for. Um, and so you obviously got that job and you were doing that. You were editing for them, and were
Mhm.
you doing some writing and stuff for them as well at
I
that
think
time
so.
early
So
on?
yeah, I started applying just for like I applied for both. I started with the writing, and I was like technically a freelance writer for only like a few weeks because then they gave me like the editing job as well.
Sure, yeah.
So then yeah, and then it was like moved to the office and whatnot, which was pretty wild and like yeah, it massively like changed my whole life trajectory really,
Sure, yeah.
which is fun. But yeah, yeah. So it was writing at first, but then I think they were after an in-house editor was the big thing. So
And
yeah,
so you were doing that, right?
yeah,
And then I was trying to like remember and pinpoint sort of when this was happening because
a long
I
time
mean,
ago now.
for the context, like
Mm.
I was a fan. Well, I guess I still am in some ways, but I was a fan of Triple Jump and earlier stuff as Vidiots as
Yeah,
well and
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. And so I had followed them into this transition and have been watching them since like 2019. And um,
mm,
slowly over time, it seemed like you started transitioning from being this in-house editor doing behind the seat a lot of behind the scenes work. You would
mm,
get mentioned and stuff like we knew of your existence, but you started
mm.
transitioning a bit more into the actually being in content and eventually
Mm,
streaming once a week. What was that like?
yeah.
What was that transition like? Because obviously you didn't set out to do that
No,
originally, so what was that
it
transition like?
it was weird and obviously like very very slow and very very surreal first few times I was like on any sort of on camera thing really. Obviously it was one of those things where like they obviously Ben and Peter and everyone there has always been very good with mentioning crediting people behind the scenes stuff like that and so yeah I would think I got mentioned a few times before but it was yeah, it's funny. So I was actually going through a bunch of old videos fairly recently. So I was trying to get a new show reel set up, and I thought I'd get
Oh,
everything
right.
sorted out in a playlist. Oh my god, looking at looking at the old my days, looking at the old videos. So the first one I showed up in, and this was like pre scraggly beard era.
Oh, sure,
Um,
yeah.
it was pre-bearded me in Crash Team Racing versus, and I was up against Peter and Ben was on
Oh,
comms,
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
and, and I feel like I could look at it and think like, oh yeah, I look really awkward. Apparently, my partner when I showed it to her, she's like, oh no, you're fine. You still, you did very well. But I was ridiculously nervous then,
Sure,
which just
yeah.
sounds silly because it's like a silly, it's not like a oh, you're going on, national TV or anything like that. It's just
Right.
silly video on the internet. But at the same time, um, yeah, it was something at the time, and I was like, oh no, I hope I don't mess anything up. I was very self conscious at the time. I think being more on camera these days helps eliminate that. It's like anything, right? You get used to it as you go along. So it's like, yeah, I guess I wasn't like a natural at it. Not like,
Sure.
like Ben or Peter or Ashton came in and was immediately amazing.
Right,
Or even
yeah.
like, like Tom or from Cultaholic, Tom Campbell, shout
Yeah.
out. Adam Pacitti as well, obviously a very natural, although he would probably say otherwise. Um, but yeah, it was so like transitioning from that and then becoming more on screen. I think as I got a taste for it, I wanted to, get more on screen, and they were, pretty good for, by all accounts, for giving me some opportunities when, if and when they showed up, really. But I'll tell you what also helped. Obviously, Ben and Peter helped in the early days. A bit of back and forth with when I was filming the early main menus as well. Being
Sure,
the
yeah.
I was the guy. I was responsible for all the shaky cam. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. We forgive you.
Blame the lack of proper equipment on that. Or a good workman always blames his tools, right?
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I was. I think what really helped, sorry, is that um, you had people on the cultaholic side of things. Jack and Sam really, like, both of them really helped massively because they were both. They said similar things along the lines of like, "Oh, when I started it, it felt very unnatural and like being on camera and stuff." And they said like, "Don't worry, you'll be much better as you go along, and the audience is very lovely." Um, etc., etc. They were saying unlike the cultaholic audience, or I
Those
suppose
rest
coming from rock culture, massive,
Oh, yeah. Those wrestling fans, who
yeah,
knows
oh,
what they're
oh,
what they're about, yeah.
savages. But yeah, it was really encouraging. So like a really, really massive shout out to them too. And even when, because like it was after COVID when I started sort of going on.
Right,
Like
yeah.
Ashton actually really helped as well because she was, you know, being so young coming in, and yeah, we take the piss and be like, she was but a mere child, but she's got like natural talent for this sort of stuff. Hence why she studied that sort of thing at university, I believe, and
Yeah, I think so,
just
yeah.
naturally great on camera. And so she helped massively as well. I think there was never anything where it was like, all right, I'm going to sit you down and be like, here's how to do this over 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah,
No one ever did that, but it's like bits and
sure.
pieces that you pick up, right? But yeah, and I think streaming was fun as well because at first I was like, at that point, I was seeing other people doing it, like Owen and Andrew. I was encouraged by that on the cultaholic side of things. So I was like, yeah, I want to do this. They gave me an opportunity. It was super weird at first too, but like you kind of, I don't know. As again, as silly as it sounds, because it was just being live in front of like a couple of dozen people or so.
Yeah,
Um,
I think so.
at that point, and just over time you get more comfortable, and it was like there is that element that I've noticed that like if unless you have like a set, even if you've not got like a set gimmick or whatever, you're not doing like a proper sort of acting, you're not acting a role, it's still
Right.
kind of a bit like that in that you
Yeah,
do an exaggerated version of yourself. I mean, like maybe it's a similar thing. So when you're playing music, you record a new track. Like,
sure.
very, uh, for anybody listening, this guy's a very talented musician. You should check out all of his stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
But yeah, like you probably get a bit of that right. It's kind of like an exaggerated version of yourself. You can't
Definitely.
just be
Yeah, yeah.
totally chill, but yeah. Well, that's my ramblings on it anyway.
No,
Yeah.
no, and I was gonna say, like, I I remember like tuning in. 'Cause I didn't like watch the live streams on Triple Jump for quite a while because I
Mm,
was always
mm,
like working and stuff.
yeah.
I was at a, because it was during the times of day when I'm at work. Still is that way,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
jobs at those times that made it a little more difficult to join. But then I started working from home
Mm.
for a while, and I started watching them more. And I remember
Oh boy, work
catching
from home.
the first stream I caught of yours, I think,
Mm.
was a Civilization stream,
Oh
and,
no.
um, and
Oh no.
I was pretty immediately taken because of, like,
Those were silly.
I thought you did particularly a very good job of, like, interacting with
Mm.
the chat and the community and, like, responding to the things that
Oh,
were being
oh, that's
said.
nice. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, and that was not that
I'd
the
worry
other.
if I do that too much, but I don't know if it's that's possible to do it too much. I feel like that's the
Yeah.
point, right? You have a community. It's nice to chat with people.
Well, and it's not
Ultimately, you know.
like Ben and Peter and Ashton, like, didn't do that because they do as well, they are very
Mm.
but especially because like, I think it was a slightly smaller audience watching those
Oh
streams,
yeah,
like,
they got way more people watching it.
I could feel like, oh, there's an actual, like, interaction going on with the streamer, which was fun because I had never
Mm.
really experienced that, so I thought that was something you
Yeah.
and I think you still do. Like, I
I think
think,
that's
obviously.
nice. Yeah, yeah, that's a nice aspect to it as well. Like that's something that I quite like. That obviously it would be great if I had like hundreds of people tuning in,
Sure,
but I think
yeah.
I'd miss that. I think I'd quite like having this sort of amount of people because everyone's quite chatty. I've seen like bigger streamers not have as many people chatting, which is wild. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, and also, like, I think it's harder, like, I've tuned into other streams of, like, bigger
mm,
streamers or people who have gotten a lot bigger, and it's just, like, it feels a little more one-sided, uh,
yeah,
which I think
goes
is
by quicker. Yeah.
yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I have a later question sort of about community and the importance
Mm,
of that because I think that's a big part of this, but
yeah.
jumping into so, for the context for the people who don't know this, like, Triple Jump was running for several years. It ran for about 6 years. But then in May of last year, 2025, it was shut down, uh,
Mm.
kind of unceremonious,
May
at
it
least
rest in peace.
from the
Yeah.
audience, kind of unceremoniously. I know for you guys,
We had a bit more
you
warning, but
knew. You had a bit more warning.
it kind of
Yeah.
still felt very sudden to a degree because we only found out earlier that year.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it was like maybe 3 or 4 months or so where the writing was really on the wall. So yeah,
Yeah. And
okay.
when that happened, all of you kind of, you were made redundant, right? You were out of a job and
Yeah.
you made the
W-
decision, and as well as, Ashton did the similar thing, and Ben did the same thing. Peter
mhm,
decided to go make YouTube content still, but
yeah,
him and Ben started a new channel and all that kind of stuff.
everybody
You
branched
decided
out.
that,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you decided that you wanted to pursue streaming and YouTube,
Mhm.
on your own at this point, not under the branch of
Ad
a
free.
conglomerate. So what
Yeah.
I mean, what was the main driver for that? Because I feel like it could have been very easy to just be like, well, okay, I'm gonna go find a video editing job. I'm gonna go
Mhm.
do something like this. I'm not gonna do this anymore. But like
Yeah.
what was kind of the driver for you to try and set out on your own and do this?
I really wanted to just like give a one word answer to this because I mean mostly stubbornness.
Okay.
I was a stubborn bastard because I was like, well, I felt like I had all of to varying degrees the skill set to do all of the aspects of that, and that's something that again very thankful to Ben, Peter, Adam, who gave us the chance at that point to gave me the chance to do my own videos. I had just started, and I think that there was a series called Game Changers, and I think that's
Yeah,
slightly
I remember
cursed
that.
because I looked it up. Um, I looked up like who else had done that because it was such a no brainer of a title. Obviously, there's that show by Dropout. It's
Oh
a
yeah.
slightly different thing, but other than that, the sort of video essay style, there was only one other channel, and I can't remember who it was now. Kind of a big channel, and they did like 2 episodes or 3 episodes. So I think that series name is cursed.
Yeah, maybe it's just cursed,
So
yeah.
I only did 2, but yeah, like I thought, well, shit, like yeah, I've got stuff like that and a few other examples where I've done the presenting, even though that's maybe my weaker side. Um, been able to do that, and I thought, "Do you know what? Let's do it anyway." Plus, so it's stubbornness. Plus, I don't want to go out into the real world yet. I want to go
I
and
feel that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Whilst I had time and I was lucky enough to have a little bit of a fallback from redundancy pay and whatnot. Um, I was able to focus on that. So yeah, I kind of over the years, like as I had started developing up more and more, like what I could do basically with video production and content creation and whatnot. It was a long term plan. It's just that it kind of like happened a bit sooner than I expected.
Sure, okay.
Um, And I just thought, yeah, okay, well, I'll do that. But then maybe something a little bit different because uh, beforehand, I was like so focused on, like either video essay stuff or like a very scripted stuff, basically. So I wanted to try out, and this was partially influenced by me being interested in that sort of content at the time. I thought I could do something that's very, gameplay focused, like a long form sort of kind of challenge videos, but not at the
Yeah.
same time. So, but still scripted because I didn't want to, throw that skill in the bin. So yeah, did that and thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. And again, didn't want to quite go back to the real world yet. Although, since I've been having a look at like various different freelance opportunities and whatnot. But yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, like, and I think that there's the, like, financial element in some cases, not to make it about that, obviously, but, like, luckily
yeah,
having the redundancy pay was really helpful, and, like,
mm,
but, like, there is a and this is just for anyone who decides to kind of be self-employed, right? Of, like,
mm.
going from sort of a more standard set sort of
Oh, it's so tough. Yeah,
pay
yeah,
frame to, like, going to being funded and
yeah,
self-employed. Uh, so I'm curious what's been, like, the most speaking of that, so that's one of, I think, many things that could
yeah,
be an answer to this, but I'm curious, like, what's been the most difficult part of this transition? Like, this new transition of, like, post
yeah.
triple jump into this new era for you.
Yeah, own brand sort of content creation sort of thing. Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, like you say, like the money is because I mentioned it. I mean, that would be the obvious one, I guess, and and that's always a tricky thing as well because I'm infinitely grateful that I'm able to support myself even to any degree, and that's down
Sure.
to anybody, yeah, like yourself and everyone else who has been like super generous or just watching the videos. So that's been a huge thing, and I'm massively in debt to all you guys. Um, but it's also like I'd say apart from that, and obviously there's worry about it's the sort of lingering worry as things go on and the redundancy pay goes away and whatnot. And I also don't want to like come across where it's like too forced. If you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
pushing monetization and stuff. I just want people to, the dream is I get to make videos that I want to do and somebody, hopefully unknown faceless corporation pays me for it. Like that would be the
Right, yeah.
dream, right? But
Of course.
yeah, I think the other thing as well is like consistency and just managing so many things because it feels like I'm spinning like a thousand plates sometimes. It's a bit better now, but like for God, like for like months starting out, trying to balance like YouTube editing side of things, and you'll know given the fact that it's only been a few videos been put out so far.
Sure, yeah.
That's tough. That's yeah, but like there's I think Peter deciding to go into strictly his YouTube thing, aside from worse games as well. I think that was smart. A lot of people, and like Kat and Alex and Kieran and everybody really has sort of gone into streaming or were streaming beforehand and picked it up. And I just decided to do both because I'm an idiot. um, but yeah, it's hard. It's a lot. Like there's a lot of faffing around with assets, a lot of like OBS quirks and stuff. Aside from the editing and script writing for videos, it's like the streaming side of things and all the prep. It's stuff that like you didn't think is gonna be taking up a lot of time, and it doesn't have a big end result. But I find like it does take up way longer than I expect, and then I get annoyed at that because I haven't got time for
Sure.
any of the real bulk of like editing and cutting down. And then there's like Patreon stuff as well. Like I'm guilty
Right,
and I
yeah.
should be updating on that. And yeah, merch. Ah, the list goes on. Bloody hell. Yeah, so
Well,
that's
and
that's
then, yeah,
that's been huge.
and it kinda answers and that obviously answers, like, I mean, a later question I was kinda gonna ask about, like,
Yeah.
I think people I don't include myself in this because I've gotten to see I feel like I have a decent idea of this, but, like, it's easy to kind
Mm,
of view this job or, like, being a YouTuber or being a Twitch streamer or whatever, like, people can view
mm,
that as sort of like an easy cushy job or whatever, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, oh, they
Mm.
just get to be paid to play video games or whatever. But
Get
it's
a real
like,
job.
but like the work that you're doing off camera is
Mm,
immense and is numerous, as you're saying, you
mm.
know, merch, making assets, having to do
Yeah.
your own marketing in a lot of cases, running a
Yeah, it's mm,
Patreon. Like a million jobs in one job. Like,
yeah.
especially because, like you said, like you chose to do YouTube and do streaming and not just like stream and then put stuff on YouTube. Like they are two separate things essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, which you know, I think is cool. I think it's a cool choice to kind of not just do not just do one thing. Like it's a
It's
lot of work.
ambitious.
It's ambitious. Um, related to that, like how are you kind of deciding what kind of videos you're wanting to make and like what kind of games you want to stream? Because there's an endless,
Mm.
I think, possibility there, right? But like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's
what's
crazy.
driving that for you right now?
It was harder, like, so, like, I wrote down, like, a few notes of this on, like, streams and YouTube are, like, slightly different, but, like, it was way harder when I was streaming on Triple Jump, and it was, like, a strict well, it wasn't that strict, but, like, a 2-hour-ish um time slot only once a week.
Sure, yeah.
It was a lot harder, and then obviously pick out short games would be the ideal thing. It's what most people did. And then I decided to pick like Cyberpunk because I 1 year I was like, screw it, I want to play the whole like one game for the majority of the year.
And you did.
um
And
and
you
we
did.
did. But yeah, now it's a lot looser because I've got like a lot more time per week, so I can take on like the games and stuff. It's mostly like it's actually fairly easy for like streaming as long as I just play things I enjoy, and that would be something I would recommend if anybody wants to stream, really,
Yeah.
because like that'll be key. Unless you're a flipping good actor,
Yeah,
then
right,
don't.
right.
I I would say just pick something that you're enjoying, and that will come across and be more entertaining. Just you know, by default. So that's good. And then I also think about if that ties into a long form video that I wanted to do for YouTube as well. So that factors into it. And then also, yeah, like obviously, yeah, I suppose I'm probably just saying the obvious stuff here, but is it going to be interesting for people to watch? So I do take note of like not just sort of views, but like how much the chat is sort of engaged with it. And I'm very bloody lucky because you guys love to chat, and I love to respond to
We do. We do.
it.
We love to chat. That is for
I
sure.
It makes it so much easier. Honestly, it makes it so much easier because like there's only been a few times, like genuinely like a few times in like what 9 or 10 months. Good lord, it's been a while now.
Yeah.
That I've realized like okay, it's been a bit of a lull, and then I'll just sort of have to like switch my brain a little bit to just be like, oh yeah, I'll talk about a game a bit more again, I suppose, if I have to. But like, yeah, like I'm not gonna end up picking something that like millions of people are watching. Like, you're not gonna see me do Fortnite, probably not, unless there's a
No,
fucking
yeah.
meme. Sorry, I swear, unless it's for a meme.
Yeah, right.
um, but like, it's also why like, I ended up doing Football Manager as well because I enjoy it, and I know there's a big audience for it, but I didn't think that audience would be tied to, you know, my audience. But people like to show up regardless of whether they're interested in that. So
I fall into
I
that
thought that was
category.
pretty cool. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. Yeah.
Excellent superstar in the making, I would say. All
Absolutely.
savage. Um,
Well, Sammy Joe.
and yeah, for YouTube, I think what I decided to play. I mean that was kind of like I mean, when I first got made redundant, and I thought, okay, I want to do this sort of kind of a channel, like longer form videos, um, and sort of challenge ideas or dumb ways to play games, sort of thing. I just wrote down like a metric flip ton of ideas, and I'm still sort of going off of those, and there are so many that I want
Right.
to do, and obviously I'll write down a bunch more, but a lot of it I do factor in like I think about sort of framing it from the point of view of like the title and thumbnails because that's the kind of I guess that's the game that YouTube has become now, which is
Yeah, totally.
annoying in a way because you spend weeks or months on like an edit, and then it all like 90 to 95% of it comes down to, success comes down to, oh, is the thumbnail and title catchy? And even then, it's like based on the algorithm too. So it's, yeah. I at least make sure that, yeah, it's going to be an interesting video, but it can be, thumbnailed and titled and be snappy like that, I suppose.
Yeah, I totally
Yeah.
relate to that because I work in podcasting, right?
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
full-time
Yeah.
job, and it has been a
That's the
big
thing.
fight with the algorithm in a lot of cases of
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
we can get a really good guest on an episode, have a really good conversation, but it's like if you're not titling
Yeah.
it, if it's not an
Yeah.
interesting thumbnail, like if the description's not
Yeah.
whatever, like
If you're
all
slightly
that.
off one week and you can't think of like a good way to frame it to like to sell it. I mean, it's kind of what it is. You're kind of like trying to
Yeah.
sell this to people based on their, their free time. And there's so much competition on both aspects, like on YouTube and on podcasting. Everybody's got a YouTube channel these days. Everyone's got podcasts.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah.
difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think the
feel you.
challenge aspect is fun though. Like I think it gets
Mm,
people engaged in a different way. Like even if it's a game they've played a million times, I I
yeah.
tried to stream for a bit. I mean, it's still something I do randomly, but like
Nice, nice.
I had to build and stuff like that. One thing I'm always impressed with is like the
Mm.
stamina of you and like and your former colleagues like Ben and
Thank you.
Peter and
Yeah, yeah.
stuff like going for like yesterday literally Ben streamed for like 6 hours straight
Oh,
yesterday.
bloody hell.
Um
That's a long one. Yeah, usually he's a bit
and
more
I'm like
keeps
a
his
little more like
time.
3 hours, but like
Yeah.
even still,
Yeah.
like I've tried to do it before and like I get like an
Mm.
hour in or whatever, and I get exhausted, like
It
because I'm
is
like,
mentally exhausting to a
yeah,
degree. Yeah, like, I know you said earlier, and it's like, yeah, I think one of the questions you're gonna touch upon is like, oh, is it like easy? Because she is like, there is that element of like, I do still feel like mentally exhausted sometimes, especially if it's gone on for a while. And I'm not a talkative person by nature, like more introverted.
sure,
So
yeah.
you get that thing where you talk too much in a given day and your mouth gets a bit like tired, yeah, yeah, no more talking, please,
Well, and you're performing, in a way
Yeah,
for
so yeah,
several
yeah.
hours, like,
I'm acting the
um,
fool is what I'm doing.
sure, but like I come from that background of like acting and performing, and it's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of what it is, you're
Hmm.
even if you're being more natural to yourself, you're being more uh authentic and
Yeah,
still
yeah, yeah, that's a
there's
good word,
people to
yeah.
entertain,
Hmm.
on the other
Hmm.
end. So I'm curious about the people that you entertain. And
Hmm.
actually talking about Football Manager because I want to
Uh-oh.
talk about community building because this is a big part of
Yeah.
being a content creator, which I don't love that term, but like,
No,
but
no,
to kind of in
it's
all
fine.
encompassing thing
It's a
because
thing, yeah.
you're doing multiple types of content, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
how do you go about like trying to build that community? Because I've seen different
Mm.
creators, it, I think, go about it in different ways. And
Yeah.
I'm curious what you've been trying. I mean, I've been a part of that. I'm a part of that community, but I'm curious, like, what that effort has looked like on your end and how
I
you've wanted to do that.
Yeah, honestly, it's a weird one that like it's never been like a conscious thing to write. I'm gonna go out and recruit some lovely people. Like you just kind of gotta
Yeah,
get lucky and then sort of manage it here and there where you can. It's a very sort of nebulous thing, isn't it? Like but like well again, like I've been super lucky because I've just sort of fallen into, a good portion of a pre-existing community built from like the best parts that came from all the way back from what culture? Are we allowed to say the name now? Of course we
yeah,
are.
we are. I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure we're fine. And not name redundant, but also like Vidiots and Triple Jump. They were such amazing communities, and I was one that was watching from Vidiots on, and yeah, and it's been cultivated by like some really excellent people as well. So having Ben, Peter, and Ashton on screen, like yeah, they're the loveliest folks off camera as well as on camera. They're like ridiculous, they're silly, but they're like they're true to themselves, and I think that comes across. And I don't know, like I think I wrote down here, right? I put down like a quick note. I was like, I don't know, don't be a dickhead, maybe. Like, I think part
I
of
think
it's
that's part of
that.
it. Yeah, for sure. No, I
Like,
think that's actually super valid. Yeah.
I mean, I can be as silly as the next person, but I think it does all reflect on like what content you put out, and you see these people are like massive who just are very, cynical and very, for want of a better term, like real dicks. But they yeah, and that reflects in the community and the people that get attracted to that. But like if you're at least sort of decent, that doesn't mean you necessarily have to be, super straight and narrow and not make any sort of jokes or anything like that. But you can, you know, at least if you have like an element of like, right, everybody respect each other, everybody's opinions, are valid, and everyone um, should have like a safe space, etc., etc. Then I think that gets reflected in the community. And honestly, I'm still sort of winging it. To be honest, I don't know. Like
Sure.
Discord, setting up Discord, that was complicated and weird, and I, I do recommend doing that though. Actually, that's one thing. Like, definitely set up a Discord or somewhere that you can have like a space for people to hang out, even if it's we didn't get too many people in at first. I was like, you know what, this is fine. I'm still happy with this, and genuinely, it's helped me because seeing you guys and like regardless of if you want to like chat with that community as much in Discord or not, I found it actually has helped me a lot. It's I think it's helped like my mental health as I've spent more time working from home and not having that sort of workplace environment
Yeah.
for other people to chat to. Seeing you guys sort of hanging out and just being yourselves and being very very lovely people. I've been very lucky, and that's helped me honestly. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's a bit of
I
return on that. Like,
I think so. Like I'd say like uh, well, and for me personally, like that social aspect is really helpful. Like my that's kind of my main social circle these days.
yeah.
Like because as I
Yeah,
be
like it's one of my main
as I'm an
things too. Yeah,
adult, like I'm an adult and
mm,
people get busy and have kids and do all these things.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
those are the people I interact with the most now. Like are the people
mm,
on the Discord and in Twitch streams. That's where a lot of my
hell
socializing comes
yeah,
from. Well, the other thing I would
definitely.
say on your end, in terms of building community things, I sort of
Mm,
noticed that I think have been really interesting. I think
mm.
Football Manager is one because you've got the community invested in a way of like letting
Yeah,
people have players on the team and have like I think that gets people kind of invested, like,
I
oh,
just thought it
I'm a
would be
part
kind
of
of fun.
something.
Yeah, I thought, okay, let's have a fun thing, and then like you'd not to be, massively cynical. I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can be like, all right, a small, very, very small donation. Everyone always goes too crazy and they're very generous, and I'm really, really thankful for
Sure,
everyone
yeah.
like that. But it's like, minimum of like, I can't even remember what it was now. I think three,
It's
three
like
dollars
three,
or
yeah,
something.
it's like $3.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like you guys can get involved, and then it's not like, oh, you're doing it every single stream. You are there for like at least a season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons. We've not even done one season yet, and it's been like 3 months now
I think
or
so,
4
yeah.
months. Yeah,
It's a
so,
while.
I just thought it'd be fun and funny, like, to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, bloody hell," "Oh, yeah, I missed that chance, bloody hell. Still, Aldinho, why'd you let that goal in?" And then blaming Gonzo, who's just got an honorary role as mod
Yeah.
mod of the football
Well,
club.
and I think there's things that happen sort of naturally that come from you and also the community. It starts to kind of become a cyclical thing, right? Of like
Yeah.
inside jokes and quotes and characters, like we
That's quite
have
nice, yeah.
Dusty Ben and those
The
types
bin.
of things, like that kind of become
So ridiculous.
you feel like you're part of something, you feel like you're
Yeah.
and Triple Jump did this a lot, and
I like that
with
we've
Vidius
got
did that. Like
yeah.
it's a complicated lore in some cases that is not impenetrable. I think
But it
one thing when I talk about when like Ben talks about
does
like
get
his
difficult, yeah.
wrestling thing, right? Where one
Mhm,
of the
mhm.
jokes there is that like
Oh my
how
god.
does one even become part of this. We built a whole wiki for it, like, but like
Yeah, his Ben XT is very funny. Yeah.
I have a Billy Ray Walrus doll like on my desk at work. I could never really
Hell
explain
yeah.
that to anybody, but
Yeah,
like I think
it's just like it's based on a pun, and there are some people they do videos on the internet. Look,
it's been years. It's years
yeah,
years long stuff. Like, but
trying to explain Scandal Penguin and fucking decide
yeah,
yeah, Dick my Jinko.
no, like there's a
Mm,
lot. So, but
my goodness.
I think it's something that can happen naturally, and also like I think the Discord, yeah, was really helpful. Like it because that stuff can
Yeah,
continue not on stream and not on the
yeah, yeah.
and people
I'm
could
quite
sort
I'm
of
quite
build it.
chuffed. Yeah, I'm quite chuffed that like we've got some other silly in jokes that have like as much as we'll always be joking about the triple jump stuff. It's quite nice to have my own sort of things and like the silly bollocks with Dusty Bid, etc. The French stuff with Claire Obscure. And like
Sure.
I like how that's been the case with other people as well, like Kat. Yeah, my good friend Kat, who's also streaming, and also comes from Triple Jump. For people not aware, she was the the lead writer, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think yeah like
Something like that. Yeah.
for all intents and purposes she was the lead writer. And yeah, she's the in jokes on her streams, like with the birds and the
Yeah.
bird chat and the quizzes that she did as well. Like it's so cool that like everybody's got that stuff now. It's sort of like branching out, and it could be their own thing, but equally there's still the community of Triple Jump alumni, I guess. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Well, and it's even in a lot of the cases, it's the same people in those same communities of in yours and
That helps
Cat
too.
and
Yeah, yeah.
Ashton and Ben and stuff.
Mm.
But they still feel unique. Like they still have their own
Yeah.
like the streams feel unique, and even if it's the same people, like they have a life of
Yeah.
their own now, which I think is cool, and it's interesting, that I'm
Yeah.
interacting with similar people, but
I'm
it's
pretty
a
chuffed with that. Yeah, yeah.
different vibes. So you've been, more than generous with your time with me today. I really
Oh, of
appreciate it.
course. I'm sorry, I just realized the time. I've been
Oh no, it's okay. Like
rabbiting on.
I appreciate you chatting with me, and it's been a
Yeah.
really cool
That's pretty fun.
conversation. So
Yeah.
my last sort of closing question here is kind of what is the what is the advice you would give to someone who would be thinking about doing something like what you're doing? So I know there's some
Uh,
people who think it looks really cool.
yeah, I mean, I'll be like, dear God, no, don't get something more financially sustainable. What are you
Sure.
thinking,
Yeah.
man? No, like in all seriousness, like absolutely try and pursue like that. There needs to be a thing. I mean, first of all, just on the case of me rambling about stuff overall, like that, the society needs to reward people pursuing creative things way more than it does at the minute, and almost any sort of creatively focused like line of work is very hard to support
Right.
yourself with financially. So this, I know this, like yeah, but so I think that's a big thing to watch out for. If you pick like a pardon me, sorry. Yeah, if I would say first of all, like obviously don't expect instant results. Um, and if you're gonna, I would say like it probably helps these days to pick a niche, but do what you really want to set out to do, but also make sure it's if it's games, then make sure you're playing like the sort of games or just a singular game that you can still enjoy it a year from now, 2 years from now, and get out some interesting stuff and still have fun with that because it's especially hard for like people that just focus on one game, for example. Um, and the same goes for like other topics. There's a million different like corners of YouTube now. So whatever you're doing, just make sure that you can like, you will still be passionate about that because that's quite tricky. You might sort of start this and then go off onto something else. I feel like I've got elements of ADHD where I will go, undiagnosed yet, but like I'll
Sure.
just be like suddenly next week I'll be like, oh, I'm really interested in this thing now, distracted by something else. But yeah, I think that yeah, I've gotten here like so. don't expect instant results. I said that already, but like try to be consistent is another thing. So again, that's not something I've done. Do as I say, not as I do, sort of
You
thing.
try your best, though. We
I
we,
try,
we
I try.
appreciate it.
Yeah, but like if things are sort of all set in your favor and you believe in what you're doing, then there's a lot more chance of it blowing up, even if it's you know a lot of it banks on the algorithm and getting lucky and that sort of stuff. But I would also say watch out for like I noticed this when I set up my new channel, and then suddenly all the recommendations are like how to succeed at YouTube. I would take all of those with a grain of salt and be watchful. Yeah, be wary of that. It's like anything, right? Because yeah, all these videos are like, do this to make your YouTube video stand out. Be a YouTube success, be the next Mr. Beast, etc., etc. I mean, if you've got like a spare couple mil to spend, all it takes is a small loan of $1 million, right, to be the next Mr. Beast. But I that's not fair. I think he came up from like nothing. But
I have no idea actually.
I'm not too sure, but yeah. So like, I mean, first of all, like those sort of channels are offering advice. That they can be useful. They can be useful. But don't like blindly follow the trends because they are all slaves to the algorithm as well. So they will try and sell anything on a new trend, and they might sort of big up something, and also every circumstance is different. So yeah, like they secondly, they might all differ as well because they'll each be suggesting different approaches to these things. Advice on mechanical aspects that don't change, like how does the YouTube backend work? Yeah, that's perfect. More wishy-washy stuff like, oh, this will totally stand out from the crowd, is a bit more follow your gut as much as anything else. And yeah, and also like some of these things come out of nowhere. Some of these huge successes do not come from trends, but they make their own trends. It's like, I'd also say like you can't necessarily like plan for lightning in a bottle, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so you can plan around like the best practices, but also if you really think that this thing's going to take off, like with the spiffing Brit videos, everyone's sort of like seen them at least be suggested. um Everything is like such and such is perfectly balanced. I'm sure he started that years ago, and now suddenly that's become a trend. I've noticed other people trying to do it. It's like that. No, 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 come on. But yeah, do your own thing. I think the last thing I had written down as well is like be good to like other creators, people in the field. Try to form that sort of genuine connection. But you don't have to. I'm not the most sociable person, but luckily enough, I've come from a wonderful community and like a wonderful, very talented set of colleagues who we can talk to and plan around. We should plan more joint streams and stuff together, honestly. But yeah, it helps to have like-minded people around, and yeah, don't ignore that. And yeah, good luck. But mostly follow, you know, follow these top tips. Don't worry. I think the best advice I can give is subscribe to at Jenks_gaming on YouTube, where you'll get
Absolutely.
loads of top tips. No, you won't, but yeah, that's basically it. I would think. You know, yeah.
Well, well, James Jenkins, I greatly appreciate
Mm,
um, your openness and the advice. I think it's been helpful. And as a proud
thank you very
patron
much.
and Twitch and YouTube subscriber, I am
You're goddamn legends. So thank you.
I suggest everyone subscribe Jakes_gaming
Yay.
and check out the
Or sometimes
content.
there's an extra underscore at the end.
Yeah, maybe
That'll trip you up.
every now and then, but
Um,
yeah, thank you so much. Well,
Oh, thanks very much for letting me ramble for way longer than I thought I would be. I thought it would be like a half hour. I
hey,
once I get started.
I'm the same way, so I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Well, thank you so much. Let
All
me
right. Thanks. Thanks for it. Really, really appreciate it. Cheers.